what do you think was causing the up months and the down months? What do you think was going on?
I think it's a level of confidence within myself and knowing what to do and how to direct the call, lead the call. And the other, I think, is for me personally, bringing the control levelers, not let them, as you say, sometimes letting them waffle, and then kind of getting off track and being in the weeds, and just really being able to redirect, bring back to the structure of the call and get to the end.
And then you feel like you have control of the call. Not that they feel like you're trying to control them, because that's just going to create
no, just the structure more.
You have the structure of where you're taking that call and you're taking that prospect on that journey, really that emotional journey of helping them see that they can change their situation with your solution and have what they want, right? So walk us through that. Before the training, I believe the way you get leads is they respond to some type of Facebook ad or something, from the owner of the company. Yep. And then they book on the salespeople's calendars and, kind of rotate it. And, Jen gets the lead. And so you get on with them, I believe, on Zoom, or is it over the phone?
We do Zoom.
Okay.
Unless it's not going to work for the
for sure.
physician. But for the 99% is
Zoom for physicians with the COVID outbreak. I guess the one good thing is that everybody in the world knows how to use Zoom now. Before it was like 15% of the world would know how to use Zoom. And they'd be like, how do you use this? But now it's like people go to church on Zoom these days.
It's crazy.
It's a crazy different world. So I guess that's one good thing about the pandemic. Everybody can now see you. So that makes it more normal. It's way better conversions than the phone because they can see you rather than just hear a voice. Okay. So when you get them on Zoom, now do you do a 1-call close, a 2-call close? What do you typically do?
1 call.
Okay. Yeah. It's a 1-call close. What your product's only 6,500. There's no need to, 6 different meetings. It's not that type of sale. So walk us through, how did you what were some of the first words out of your mouth before you learned? I know, I don't want to embarrass. Sometimes I'm embarrassed to be like, no, I can't tell people what I used to do. But how did you usually start that initial Zoom call before you really learned how to sell?
I really got to know people, where do they live? I was the classic, how about that ball game last night?
You're like, hey, how's it going? Where do you live? Did you like the Braves? They won the World Series. I'm a Braves fan too. Now, typically, why did you do that back in the day? Sometimes we just don't know what we don't know.
I did it because that's how I was trained. I, listened to some of the old style sales coaches and gurus, and I just picked stuff up and thought, oh, well, that's kind of nice to know. It seems like it would make sense.
So the gurus, that probably haven't sold anything themselves for 20 plus years. They learned how to sell back in the 80s, 70s or 80s, maybe 90s if we're lucky. That's how they used to open up the calls. Like, how's it going? You doing great over there? Oh, I'm doing great. Did you watch the game? Or, if you're in person, they saw a picture of their daughter getting married. Like, oh, my daughter got married the other day too. And, got to build the relationship of trust. And if they like you, they're going to buy from you. Now, knowing what you know now, what does that typically trigger when you start your calls off saying the exact same thing that every salesperson has been saying to that prospect you're talking to for months and years? Selling anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sold in a minute.
Yeah, that's what goes on in your prospect's mind, right? Yep. So everybody watching this right now, when a salesperson calls you or you have an appointment with them and they start off the call with, how are you doing? Oh, great. Yeah. How's the weather over there? Oh, good. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. What are you doing today? Oh, I'm just drinking some coffee, just working hard over here. So what do you like to do? I mean, when you start doing that type of stuff, what goes on in your mind? They're just trying to get to know me to sell me, right? Okay. So if we're thinking that when salespeople are saying that to us, what the hell do you think's going on in their mind when we're doing the same thing? So it instantly commoditizes you. I did a post on my personal Facebook today and I said, hey, what's the first question out of your mouth when you first started to talk to a prospect? And some gentleman, I don't know who he was, I'm sure he's a great guy. He said, I say, well, how are you doing today? And I'm like, okay, that's what every salesperson says, selling anything, that's saying the same thing to your prospect every single day of the week. So automatically you become commoditized. Oh, salesperson trying to sell me something. So the walls immediately come up that you're now, even though you don't think they are, because maybe they're nice back and like, oh yeah, I'm doing good. How are you doing? It doesn't matter if they're nice back. That's what they're thinking.
Yep.
So instantly,
they've been through the process so many times.
The guard comes up.
Yeah.
The moment we sound like every other salesperson selling everything to them is the moment their guard comes up and they say, salesperson, how do I get rid of them? They're not going to open up to you. Even if you try to ask them some questions, they're just going to give you 1 or 2 word answers and it doesn't go anywhere. Okay. You want to sound much different. The first thing we have to understand when we're first talking to a prospect, I'll give everybody a little lesson, then I'm going to get back to you, Jen. Like I said, nobody cares about me. I'm the boring guy. But typically the first thing we have to understand within the first 7 to 12 seconds of any sales interaction we are on, whether that's a cold call on the phone, whether it's a cold call coming into a company, whether it's a Zoom appointment with an inbound lead, whether it's a in-home demonstration or a boardroom meeting, or let's say a phone call for an outbound lead, it does not matter. Even if it's on the doorstep, door to door, your prospects can't help it. Subconsciously, the way our brains are wired, we are picking up on verbal and nonverbal cues based on the salesperson's tonality, body language, if you see them, and what they are saying or asking that triggers our brain to react in one of 2 ways. If we sound like everybody else calling them, trying to sell them something, and it doesn't matter from vacuum cleaners to maintenance to a house to a car to financial services to coaching, it does not matter. If we sound like everybody else and we come across, excited, really enthusiastic, and we come across aggressive and assumptive and needy and attached, we trigger what is called fight or flight mode in the human brain that triggers your prospect to immediately put their guard up, okay, and look for excuses on how to get rid of you or not open up to you. So they say things like, oh, you know what? This is not a good time. Can you call me back later? Or, I really appreciate the call, but can you just send me some information? Or, you know what? We're just looking around. Can you tell me what you have to see if I'm interested? Or we're not interested right now. Or we already have that. Or, we don't have any money right now. Is this going to cost me anything? Or they might say, depending on your industry, they might say, yeah, we looked at you guys, but you're too expensive. Or they might say, you know what, this is really good, but I just don't have time right now. Can you just email me a proposal? Okay. That's triggered. All right. So now that we've taught you how to avoid sounding like every other salesperson, what's one good connecting question that you typically, I'm not going to have you give all your connecting questions that we've taught you how to use, but what's one good connecting question you use now?
Yeah, I mean, I just open the call up as kind of laid back and chill as I can be, and just say hey. And I often just use the just having my coffee, staying out of trouble. How are you? How about you? And then
because you get them
going on.
Yeah, you get them on Zoom, so there's a little bit. You can't really do that obviously on a cold call or an outbound lead, but you've got them on Zoom and they get on and they're like, "Oh, can you hear me?" That's usually like, "Hey, can you hear me?" type of thing. And instead of saying, "How's your day going? How's the weather?" they'll typically say, "How you doing?" And you're saying, "Oh, I'm just having some coffee, staying out of trouble." Okay.
And it's typically such a difference than they're stressed out, racing between, this, that, and the other things. It's a pretty obvious difference between sort of my calm presentation and maybe their kind of frantic, getting everything done presentation. From the very, very first.
So you instantly kind of calm them down. And then typically after you kind of calm them down that first 10 seconds or so, what's one of the first things out of your mouth, like questions or that we've taught you to ask?
Yeah, just, wanting to get an idea as to kind of what's bringing them to the call, what they've tried in the past, where they are now, and really what they're looking for to see if we can actually help them.
Yeah. And I think if I remember your sales structure, because we wrote it together, is like, one of the first things you say, it's not the first connecting question. We'll leave everybody to guess what that is, but it's the second connecting question, and just say, well, yeah, I mean, I would say the first part of this call is really more for us to find out kind of more about, your background as far as the relationship with your spouse, your kids. and kind of what you've tried. And I would say really what you're, looking for, just to see if we can actually help you. Because there's some physicians, there's just not much we can do for them. Now, when you say that at the end, there's just some physicians, there's not much we can do for them. Why did that seems counterproductive. Why would I train you to do that?
Well, because it makes them want to wonder if they will qualify,
Yeah. And
it's those A-type personalities don't want to be left out.
It's a much better way to say, to see if you qualify. Like that just sounds retarded, right? Everybody knows that when you say to see if you qualify, that, okay, I'm going to give you a credit card and you're going to say you don't qualify. Like nobody falls for that. Like, people aren't stupid. But I'm being truthful when I say, to see if we can actually help you, because there's some physicians where there's not much we can do for them. I'm being truthful because I don't know enough about their situation to see if I can help yet without this discovery part of the process. Right?
That's right.
Okay.
Now there has to be that willingness. First of all,
they have to be willing on their end to want to change their situation, because if they're not, there's really nothing you can do to help them. That's and when you do that, it's almost like you're taking it away from them, or they start to pull you in like, huh? What? It's just completely, it will make them stop right in their tracks and automatically zone in to what you're doing. Now let's talk about situation questions, because now in part of the sales process with what you sell, this is for anything, we really have to find out what's going on. Like, what is their current situation? What is what we call their current state or situation look like? So there's typically 3 or 4 different situation questions for any industry we train hundreds, that you're going to ask. Can you give us an example of just one of those and why you use it?
Sure. I say, just so we have a application sheet, which many offers do, right? And so I typically say, I was looking over your, information, and it looks like you're struggling with this, this, and this. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And then they sort of confirm if those are the big issues or not. And then, how long has that been going on?
Yeah.
How is that working for you? Those types of questions to get down below kind of just, what does that look like? How does that play out in the home or at work or wherever?
You're helping them clarify what their situation is, because I'm pretty sure, well, I know every prospect really doesn't know what their situation is. Because you can kind of see from the outside, they're going through it. So they don't know what they don't know. Most of your prospects don't even know they have a problem, or if they when you first start talking to them, or maybe they know they have a problem, but they don't know, they don't really know what the problem looks like. They can't clarify what it is. They don't know what's caused the problem, the root cause. They don't know how it's really affecting them. Okay. They don't know the consequences of what will happen if they don't do anything about solving it, which in your case would be divorce.
Yep.
All right. Problems with their kids, financial problems. I mean, it could cause a whole lot of problems, right? So your job as a sales professional is help them find problems that they didn't even realize they had before that initial call. Okay.
That's right.
We're becoming a problem finder. Before we can become a problem solver, we first have to become a problem finder, because if they don't buy, we can't solve any problems. Okay. Now, so you ask them that type of situation question. There's 2 or 3 others that we have you ask. And like I said, we're not going to go into those right now. And then how do you help them see that they even have a problem? Like in problem awareness questions, what's an example of a problem awareness question you ask that gets them to see that, oh crap, I've got a problem here?
Yeah. I mean, we talk about, maybe someone comes with a complaint of, we have the same argument over and over. Like, we've had this argument for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so maybe they've been to couples counseling, maybe they've read a book, maybe they've done nothing. Right. But so then I say, typically, what you've been dealing with these issues now for however many years they say, or however long they say, and comes down to, do you like the results that you've been getting from whatever you've been doing nothing, being in counseling, or, doing it on your own? And that often really stops them in their tracks to like, no, almost always it's no. I don't get a lot of yeses. I like what we've been doing, because they probably wouldn't be on the call.
So it's this question. So, okay. So take me back, Amy. You've been going to see your therapist now for the last 3 years, your marriage counselor. Do you like the results you've been getting from that? See, it's that question, right? They're always going to say, and now the reason why we pause there when we say, do you like the results you've been getting? Why do we pause there? Why do we have that verbal pause? What does that psychologically do to a prospect when you ask them that question with that verbal pause when you're emphasizing the word like?
It draws them in to really think about what you're saying and to stop and actually take kind of account of, do I? I like it? Or
because if we said it like this, we could ask the same question, but if we said it fast like this, it doesn't have the same emotional impact. If I said, okay, so you've been seeing this marriage therapist for the last 3 years. Do you like the results you've been getting? Yeah, they're not bad.
Yeah.
See, it's a knee-jerk question, and it's going to give you a knee-jerk reaction because it doesn't cause them to think deeper about what you're asking. That is a massive difference with human behavior. Most salespeople would have no clue about that. You can't read that in a book. Most sales trainers don't even have a behavioral science or psychology background, so they would even know what that even meant. Okay. Now, so that helps them realize they have a problem and they're starting to, and then once they tell you their problem, we've taught you really how to not just accept that at face value, but to really do what? Clarify the problem.
Clarify, probe, maybe really understand what's the main reason you're hearing with the rationale question.
Clarifying and probing, which helps the prospect relive the pain of the problem.
Yeah.
If we can't help the prospect relive their pain, there is no sale. Or you'll get lucky and get some sales here and there, and your income will go up and go down, or go up and go down, because you don't know how to get every prospect you talk to relive their pain. Not just the easy laydowns, because they're just going to tell you the pain anyways. That's 10% of your prospects. There's going to be 10% that just can't get the money. So that leaves 80% that are in the middle. They're right on the fence. And depending on your sales ability and the questions you either don't know how to ask, you don't know the right tonality, that determines where that other 80% goes, to your side of the fence where they purchase what you're offering to solve their problems, or their side of the fence where they stay in status quo, they don't purchase, and nothing ever changes for them, unfortunately. Okay. Now let's talk about solution awareness questions. Because now you've helped them identify their problems and how the problems are affecting them, even emotionally. Solution awareness questions really get them to see what their future is going to look like, or what we call their objective state is going to look like once all of these problems, the gap, are actually solved, because they didn't even know they had this. So here's where they are. Here's where they want to be. Once all the problems are solved, what is it going to be like for them? What's a solution awareness question? Because there's several in there. There's probably 6 or 7 we have you ask. But what's just one that you use?
So let's say we were able to come in and work together. We could support you through this process of learning new skills and growing as a person, and understanding and healing the things that are causing these issues. And you would be working together better with your spouse and having fun, the playfulness, the joy, bringing those things back and not having the arguing all the time. What would that feel like for you? What would that do for your relationship? And then for them, once they kind of go through that, oh my gosh, it would be amazing,
Yeah.
Well, what would that do for you personally, though? Right.
See, that's the home run question.
Yeah.
So not only would, what would that do, what would that do for you and your husband, let's say, and like, oh, it would be good. We would be able to do this. We would have more fun. Our kids would be better, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But what would it do for you personally? See, that's when it gets real, right? Yep. You'll even have probably some clients even cry sometimes there.
A number. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it hits them here. They want to solve the problem. Okay. Problems that maybe they didn't realize how bad they really were 20 minutes before you got on Zoom with them. Okay. Yep. So solution awareness questions get them to see, and more importantly, not just see, but to feel what it's going to be like once all of these problems are solved and they get what they want. Feel is the important word, not think, feel. Massive difference in persuasion ability. Okay. People move on feelings. They don't move on logic, period. Okay. Brain studies prove that. Now you've got at this emotional high, and you're going to ask a consequence question that rips that emotion away and causes them to defend themselves on why they have to change now. Tell us a consequence question we taught you how to ask for your space.
So they're sort of glowing about what it's going to feel like. Yeah. And you say, so hold on. What if you don't do anything about this, though? And you go the next 3, 6, 12 months with the same issues and you never solve this problem. What's that going to feel like?
And what do they say?
And they just say, oh, we can't have that. Okay. I can't do that. I can't do that anymore.
It's pretty much impossible for them to come back at the end and say, this sounds good, but I need to really think it over. Now's not a good time. Maybe 6 months from now. I'm really busy at the office. Maybe in 6 months. How many of those objections do you get now?
Far fewer. Far fewer.
Exactly, right? Yeah. Consequence questions rip away their future, what they said it's going to feel like, where they have to defend themselves and pull you back in on why they have to change this now. Okay, but doctor, what happens if you don't do anything about this though?
Yeah.
And you guys keep having these same arguments and going in the same circle over and over again the next 3, 6, or 12 months. What happens then? Oh my gosh, we'd get a divorce. We would do you want to change that? Yeah. Okay, but why now though? See, we're getting them to pull us in. All right. Now we then transition. We don't have time to go through your transition questions. You then go into like your presentation. Now, the presentation, I believe, used to be massively different than how we've taught you how to do it now. Tell us how the presentation you used to do. What did you used to say? Was it just a bunch of talking about this great stuff? Like, what did you used to say?
It was significantly longer and, really like having them take notes on the presentation. Like, do you have that? Did you write that down? This step, this step, this step. I think I would lose people. It was too much information.
Too much information kills so many sales.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Now, we taught you a 3-step process that we teach companies and salespeople in hundreds of different industries. It doesn't matter if it's technical sales, all the way to coaching relationship sales, all the way to cars, to financial services, to SaaS, door-to-door solar. It doesn't matter the space. It's all the same process. Tell us a little bit about that structure, just briefly.
Yes. I mean, we did re-navigate the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So we just walk them through your standard. You're having this issue. In order to solve this issue, what we do in this process, we help you by doing this. And so that means for you, you're gonna have this experience. Process. And so what that, and then the next typical issue.
Yeah. So it emotionally connects the dots. So maybe they have 2 problems that they said they had that you could get out of them, but then you'll add in a 3rd problem that, a lot of people have. So that triggers them to be like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about that. That's us too. We even have that problem. So now when they got on the call, they thought they had this, it's maybe a problem, but not so bad. But by the time they get out the end of the call, they're like, wow, I've got 4 big problems. I didn't even know. No wonder I'm having all these problems. Okay. So it's the same thing. So here's the format. So one of the biggest problems that
clients come to us with,
that people have when they come to us. So one of the biggest problems because you're selling to physicians, one of the biggest problems that physicians have when they come to us is they don't know how to X and Y and Z, whatever that problem is, which causes them to A, B, and C. What does it cause? Okay. Heartache with their husband or wife or whatever, blah, 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 blah. So the way we solve that for our clients is, and then you go over the specific parts of, in your case, your training program from the doctor that solves that problem. Okay. And then at the end of that, you say, and what that means to you is, and then you're going over the advantages and benefits of what it is going to do for them.
Yep.
When you follow that formula, it just emotionally connects all the dots. And typically when they're getting off that presentation, how has it changed for you now on that?
There's not much, there's not many objections.
Yeah.
And so you just say, do you think that could be the answer for you? And it's just, Why do you think it is?
Yeah.
So it's not I say, well, I really know that we have to work on these 2 or 3 things that I've just gone over with them and how it can change for them.
Yeah. In traditional selling, typically 50% of any sales conversation is the whole presentation. Big slide decks, 50-page slide decks, hour presentations, talking. And then 30% is like closing the deal, objection handling, closing the deal, objection handling, like so much stress and hard work. When we teach you NEPQ, your presentations are going to go down to about 10 to 15%, probably about 10%. And your closing is going to go down to about 5% because people don't buy or not buy at the end with a cheesy closing line like, do you want the red one or the blue one? Or whose name should this be in? Your name or your husband's? Like, people don't buy because of that. They buy because of the discovery part of that call. The closing is just the natural progression of them taking action to solve the problem. So at the end of that presentation, it's simply a commitment question like, so now that you've gone through that, do you feel like this could be the answer for you? Notice how I pause there. That makes them think deeper. Okay. Oh yeah. Well, hold on. Why do you feel like it is though? You've tried a lot of things. Why this? Oh, because this is different and this and this. And they just tell themselves why they have to do something about it. Okay. Now, typically, how many, let's say you had, let's say you had 20 calls in the past. And at the end of those 20 calls, before you learned NEPQ, out of those 20 calls, how many of those would end in objections?
I did a lot of follow-up, a lot.
Objections. Okay.
A lot of follow-up, a lot of having to think about it.
Okay. So what would you say, out of 20 calls, how many do you think would be I want to think it over, some type of an objection?
Out of 20 calls, probably 15.
Okay. So you're talking 80%. Now,
quite a few follow-ups. Yeah.
You put an NEPQ in your sales process. Out of 20 calls, how many objections or think it overs are you getting out of 20 calls now?
Yeah, significantly less. Maybe 5 or 6 or 7. Yeah.
Okay. So you've gone from about 80% objections down to about 25% objections. And that's pretty normal. Now, we also teach you how to help them overcome those objections so you win those sales too. All right, Jen, I wanted to congratulate you. First of all, it's a big deal. I just, virtual hand clap here since we're virtual, but I wanted to really congratulate you, going from making on average $5,000 to $6,000 a month in commissions to now $30,000 a month in commissions. That's a life-changing income. It affects your family, it affects your spouse, it affects your children. It gives you a lot more options. Money is not something that buys us happiness. I think we all know that. Money just gives you as a person more options. Gives you more options to help people, to give back, to go on more trips, more memories. That's really what money does. What has it done for you and your family?
It's made a huge difference. I've literally this last year decided to send my son to a special school. He's on the autism spectrum. And so was able to just not worry that the tuition would be an issue. I spend a lot of time with my kids. I just have been able to hire out some stuff that I typically used to do. Even though I still do a lot of that hands-on and I enjoy to cook and all that stuff, but it's just really first of all, it's given me confidence to know that I can contribute to the family as well. Yeah. And it's not, so that's been really kind of just for my own.
Now it's a competition. You might be making more money.
Now, it's just, well, not quite, but we'll get there. Maybe that would be a good challenge, right?
But now he's like, damn, all right, Jen's catching up to me. I need to get on my A game.
Yeah. So it's just been, I liked something that Matt said a couple months ago, maybe about when you guys built out the office in Australia, that it wasn't like you took money from the business, you just did something to earn more money. And so I have in the back of my mind, okay, if I want to do a project or something in the house or wherever it might be, I can just make that happen for myself and for my family without really having to dip into anything else or,
I'll just make more sales.
Kind of a neat ability and experience to be able to just sort of create from conversations a new bathroom or whatever it might be, right?
It's so true. You're helping your prospects find and solve problems, and they will pay for that because everybody will pay to get what they want.
That's right.
They just don't pay if they don't feel like you can get them what they want, right? Or maybe they don't know what they want, but with your question skills, you're able to help them clarify that in their mind. And they look at you as the expert, the trusted authority who's going to take them from wherever they are, their current situation, to where they want to be, their objective state. And when you learn those skills, you make a ton of money doing that because people will pay for that 100%. So I wanted to give you a big round of applause.
Thank you so much, Jeremy.
I do have to ask this last question because I always know if I'm doing my job, if the spouse of the client. Now, so I'm not talking about companies, but like if we're training an individual salesperson like you, if the spouse likes me, then I know.
Absolutely.
Does the spouse like me?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You're a hero here.
Okay. As long as the spouse of the client likes me, we know we're doing something good for you guys. So just wanted to congratulate you. I've got to go. You got to go. We have
Thank you so much. I'll be on
right after. So thank you very much. Now, a lot of you will probably message us here in a minute for more details. So if you want to know more details about how we can train you these type of skills, just like Jen, just like thousands of other clients, it's out. Your competition will be learning these type of skills shortly if they're not already learning them now. If you don't learn them, you are going to get crushed. I want you to imagine yourself, if you're a competitor and you're trying to win an account and you're in the same industry as Jen will crush you right now. You will not stand a chance. If that prospect is on the phone with Jen and also on you looking at both options, you won't stand a chance. I can promise you that. Right, Jen?
That's right. You guys, I can't say highly enough what an incredible opportunity it is to come in and work with Jeremy. It's a game changer, and I've just absolutely enjoy every moment that I get live, and also, watching the recordings. It's powerful stuff.
It's good. Well, and it's our whole team. It's Marco Cortese, our advanced objection handling training he does on Tuesdays. It's Matt, our CEO. Just amazing. Our other sales trainers that we have in our other programs as well, just massive results for our clients. Not just me. I'm just kind of the guy over here, that kind of oversees that. So if you want to know more details, how we can help you sell whatever you're selling more of, help a lot more people make a lot more money, bless your family's lives for generations to come. It has financial impacts on your family for generations to come, your skill level. If you don't learn the right skills, it will financially impact your family one way or the other. You learn the right skills, it financially impacts them and their kids going on for generations. If you don't learn the right skills, well, it does the exact opposite. This is just how the butterfly effect works. Okay. So in the comment section, just post #NEPQ. You don't spell it right, we won't get upset. Either me, Matt, our CEO, or our Chief Revenue Officer now. We promoted Marco from the Vice President of Sales to the CRO of the entire company now. We'll message you more details to see if we can help you. Jen, it's been a pleasure as always. I'll see you soon.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Hey guys, if you enjoyed these, here's another you can watch right over here. Join our free Sales Revolution group. Click the link below, join us, and we're going to help you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you real soon.